Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cece's Corner. Today's topic is going to be body image and what we ourselves can do to improve it. The reason I chose it for this week's topic being that I grew up in the 2000s. I was a young girl in the 2000s and early 2010s. And I know that there were many people during that time, especially, that were struggling with body image issues. Everybody and their mom seems to be taking medication to get thinner, even when they're already extremely thin and have no medical reason to be taking the kind of medication. I just wanted to do something for all the other girls and women equally like me that see the trend, find it dangerous, but at the same time maybe get a feeling that, oh, I wish it was a little bit easier for me to look a certain way, or oh, I wish it wasn't so hard to maintain, whatever it is. I just want to really talk about it because I feel like it is important to know that our bodies do so much for us. I said this already in another video where I talked about what we can do to move our bodies. But yeah, we're literally alive because they continue working for us. So I feel like we need to try and find a way to just get along with what we've got. I'm not trying to say that, oh, you shouldn't improve yourself, or if you're feeling unhealthy, you shouldn't take care of yourself. Not at all. But just in general, I think that we should approach our bodies with a little bit more gratitude instead of always just looking for something that may be wrong or that's a flaw, like people like to do on social media. And I'm not an exception. I'm not trying to be like higher than mighty and be like, oh, this doesn't concern me. No, I worked years on feeling okay 80% of the time with what I've got going on. And by okay, I mean I'm accepting that things just aren't going to change in certain areas and that there's nothing that I can do and that I'm not willing to go to certain lengths to achieve that. But you can always improve, and I would like to still continuously get better. So this is why I did some research. Like always, I have my little note thingy, and I just want to talk to you all about what we can do, men and women, to make sure that we feel as good as possible with what we've got going on. Yeah, because I mean, it's not accessible to everybody to get the means in place to change things, but also we keep forgetting that what we've got going on was like the best available genetic lottery that we were given. And I think if we could be more kind, it would help to let up a little bit of the pressure. That's all what I mean. So, what is the definition of body image? Body image is how you think and how you feel about your own body, how you see it, and how you think that others perceive it. So when you look in the mirror, the things that you feel, the things that you see, but also what it makes you think, and then also in the perception of others, what are they like thinking when they look at your body, look at your physique, and outer appearance. Those things can be both positive and negative. So it doesn't have to only be like negative aspects. You can also have very positive body image, which is what we are trying to achieve, or what we would like for people to have more of, at least here. um, Body image is like a difficult topic because it can be affected by so many different things. It can be affected by genetics. So what's your family situation, what's your mom, dad look like, but also other relatives. It can be affected by your family and how your family approaches bodies, how your family approaches nutrition, etc. It can be influenced by the culture you grew up in. Maybe certain things are more present or not present in your life due to the cultural background. It can be influenced by friends. So depending on what your friends look like or do, or how your friends talk about stuff, it can have an influence. And then also, of course, social media and media in general. What we are consuming, what we are seeing, leads to us automatically comparing ourselves, and that can be both positive but also negative. In most cases, it's the latter. What are some signs that you might think about your body a little bit too much, or are a little bit too busy with the thoughts of how others may perceive you? What are some things that you are able to look out for in your own behavior? First of all, you might check yourself in the mirror a lot, in all different angles, in all different positions, look at your body dressed, undressed, all of those things. Just check really hard in the mirror. You may be starting to take selfies or pictures of yourself in order to see some areas. But then also, of course, like I mentioned before, you start maybe comparing yourself, comparing your body, comparing different areas to other people, and then, labeling it in a positive or negative way, depending. But then also you might focus on specific areas of your body. Like, for example, in my case, genetically, I have a very big head, and it makes it easier for me to look puffy. If I'm not sleeping enough or if I'm not drinking enough or whatever it's going on, it will reflect in my face, which is a good thing because I don't really have a lot of wrinkles, but it's also a bad thing because I kind of have like a bigger face. It's an insecurity of mine. It's something that I do notice mainly in pictures of myself. Yeah, and it's something that I really want to work on getting better at just accepting. The next thing, if you have like a positive image of yourself, other things might also come into play. You might feel super confident in your appearance, which is amazing. You might have a general appreciation for your body and its functionality. Like you might say, dang, my body's tea, but also working so great for me. I'm super healthy. You might be more accepting of like normal body changes, like weight fluctuation or things like that, which is also insanely good if you have a positive attitude towards that, because especially for women, weight can fluctuate within our cycle a lot. So it would be nice if everybody would just be like, hey, yeah, that's cool, it's part of it. But then also a big part, if you're having positive body image, is a certain resilience to body standards, just being like, hey, this is me, this is how I am, this is what works for me, and done with it. It wouldn't be Sissy's Corner if we wouldn't take a little walk around the block concerning mental health. Why is mental health here in play? Why is mental health a factor? Well, mental health and body image work together really well, because if you're not feeling well mentally, you might also just be generally down on yourself, but then also, obviously feel uncomfortable and feel uncomfortable in your body and start to focus on that really hard. But it can just easily start with just generally feeling the pressure to look a certain way. Especially, I think younger people have a lot more pressure concerning that, because especially in school, when there's a certain type of environment, we might not have like realized that everybody's individuality is a beautiful thing, but you would rather look like the most popular girl, and be kind of like a blueprint copy of that situation. But then also, feeling like you need to fit in order to be perfect and be within the standard. So trying to achieve the same look as everybody else just so you fit in socially. Then, comparing bodies, and now globally, which is even more harmful because there are so many factors that play into what your body does and look like, geography, like within a certain geography. That's also, a factor, but it's not always taken into account. And then we, can judge and criticize and just generally feel uncomfortable with our own bodies, but we also, might put it outward by starting to do it to somebody else as well, in order to downplay our own insecurities, which never nice. Do not comment on somebody else's body unless asked. And then, what can happen is, if you're obsessing over it and feeling like, oh, it's unachievable, no matter what I do, I can't look a certain way, which, yeah, but it can cause low mood, it can cause anxiety and low self-esteem, all topics that we've addressed before. So check out those videos for some advice on that. But there's even more extreme versions of this where it can, lead to certain types of, let's say, mental health issues in certain regards that I don't really want to get into. But it has consequences if it, continues for a long time, that you just don't really like your body, feel okay in your body. And I think it's really important that we do the work concerning this, because I feel like a lot of people have issues with the way our bodies look, with the way we function, work, what we do to keep fit, and how we nourish our bodies, that it just slides by and is just generally accepted, and it's more normal to be affected by body image problems rather than somebody who is like has a healthy body image. So I feel like it's important to address this. But I also want to say, genetically, we are all different. The predispositions that we've got going on aren't equal to anybody else, unless you have a twin, but still. And so, of course, it's not realistic that 1 in 2 people are looking exactly the same, have exactly the same body type, have exactly the same type of metabolism, and like everything else that's necessary. So please just keep in mind that what you have got going on is your individual situation, and it's not better or worse than anybody else's. Even though it might feel like it, but it's not your body's functionality that's off. It's a lot of your brain and what we've been fed. So please just make sure to remember. Because I've just gone on a rant, I just wanted to realistically also give out some tips and tricks that are really important. I have realized over time, for example, that my body has done so much for me because of my mental health. I realized that my mental health struggles put a lot of pressure on my body. So I have just accepted that my body is doing me a service by keeping me alive, and that I'm doing the best to take care of it, but that there's just certain things that I cannot fix, and that I'm also not willing to obsess over and invest more time in, because it doesn't affect the trajectory of my life and it doesn't affect what my body can do. So that's how I'm working with it. Do I have better and worse days? Yes. Do I sometimes have days where I wish things are different? Yes. Do I have thoughts like everybody else pretty much does have, where it's like, oh, I wish I would be looking like this. I wish I could be more like that. Yes, I do. But at the same time, grateful that I'm able to, be the way that I am and do all the things that I want to do. Some things that have helped me along the way is my social media habits. I stopped looking too much into everybody else's bodies on social media. I picked people with healthier body image to look at. I deliberately excluded some people from my social media in order to not focus on what they look like. That's mainly for celebrities that I was following, but I genuinely just like looked if I didn't like their content, or if it activated a part in my brain that I didn't particularly like. I just stopped following those people and stopped feeding myself that information. And then what can also help is to try and really constantly remind yourself of your capabilities body wise. Like, what can I do? What does my body do every day for me? Because we focus so much on what it should be in our image and what we envision, but like what it actually does is a miracle. And I think that we, can focus a lot more on that in order to also ease and change our mindset towards our bodies. But then, prioritize yourself, do what actually feels good for you. And then you're enabled to make more healthy choices. What I mean by that is, um, look who came to say hi. Hi, 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 Angel. Hi. Oh, hi. Um, what I mean by healthy choices is listening more to your body, listening more to what it needs, what there is that might be important for your body, and what you should be taking care of. And sometimes that can be eating a bunch of vegetables and just focusing really hard on your nutrition. Sometimes it can be buying a cake and just eating that whole thing, whatever feels good. I've done some subtopics on that type of stuff. So yeah, that is what I mean by healthy choices. You can structure your meals in a certain type of way if you want. Have a section on that, but then also, look in the mirror, try and get to know your body shape. Look to see what kind of, oh, I have this going on. I have a little tummy here. I have that. Yeah, really, really actually look at it and look if you are really, if you would look at somebody else that had that, would it bother you? Let's just say that. I said get rid of negative influences and push back. Um, you can do a social media cleanse, but you can also just, whenever somebody has a weird attitude towards bodies or things like this, you can always give them pushback by saying, hey, I don't agree, or I don't really know, or do we need to talk about this? I don't really want to address it, whatever you want. But then I also said embrace discomfort. Embrace that it's not perfect every day. Embrace that you're struggling some days and other days it's easy peasy. Embrace that there's differences. Yeah. And then avoid some things that you know are going to be difficult. For me, it's certain stores, because I don't really want to see myself in that light, and I don't really want to do that to myself. So I'm just stop going there. But then also be compassionate. You're not going to look your best if you haven't slept for a week because you couldn't calm down because you've been so stressed out and everything is just going all over the place and it's hard and it's stressful. Of course not. You shouldn't be expecting that of yourself either. It's normal. And then the last point, and I can't stress this enough, is to talk to people. Speak to your friends, speak to a therapist, speak to anybody really, but speak to your friends. Like I remember a while ago that I sat down just to have dinner with a friend of mine, and the topic somehow naturally like came up, and he just said to me, look, I was talking to my little sister about this the other day, and I didn't really realize that it was such a thing for people to have problems with, but it's so important that we speak more about it and talk more about it, because then you can be more understanding, but also, make people feel better. I have a very beautiful friend, and he will always say nice things to me, say nice things about my body, in a non-sexual way, but he will, say, oh, you look so nice today, and really actually mean it authentically. And that's always helped me to feel more secure. And I think you really need those people around. I've rambled a bunch. I said some stuff that not everybody's going to agree on, but that's the way that I feel. I hope that if you're struggling, you can find the beauty within yourself, and then match it to your outside. We are not meant to look the same. We are meant to look individual. We are meant to look unique. And whatever we've got going on is what we're given. And if we can be kind to ourselves, to at least be grateful for the functionality of things, I think eventually over time we can all get to a point where we won't care as much. And that should be the goal. Sending all my love to you. Happy Sunday.